Brother Thomas, who's going to give shahadat inshallah. So before the bayan, everyone can witness. If all the brothers just can come around and sit together. Jazakallah. Alhamdulillah, it's a very great day, all of us. Alhamdulillah, Brother Thomas is going to inshallah say the shahada. So Thomas, I'm just going to repeat a few things, just say a few words about Islam, what Islam is. Islam, the religion Islam, it means submission, to submit ourselves to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to the God, the Creator. His name, the name we say, the God, our God is Allah. So when we say the shahada, there's Arabic words that we say, and when we say these words, we are submitting ourselves to the commands of Allah. So what I will say, the meaning will be that there is no worthy of worship, there is no deity but Allah. There is no God, there is no other God except Allah. So these are the Allah, and the second belief and the second part of this shahada is the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There are many beliefs that we should, as Muslims, should have. The basic beliefs is Allah, the God. We should believe Him as our God, the Creator and the doer of everything. And He does everything with His will, and He has control over all of us. Everything in the world, Allah has control over. That's our basic belief. And then He sent many prophets, and amongst us prophets, Prophet Moses, Prophet Jesus, Harun, Aaron, Prophet Yusuf, Joseph. All these prophets, we believe in all of them. But we believe in the Muhammad to be the final prophet. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent to Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam the book, the Quran. So even the Injil, the Old Testament, the Bible, we say that the original form that was revealed to them, to the prophets, we believe in them to be the books, but the original form that the prophets had. And now the new Sharia, the commands of Allah Ta'ala has put in the Quran. So we believe the Quran as a book and the final book of Allah. And then there's the angels that we believe Allah Ta'ala has angels. Allah Ta'ala has this the iman that we should have, all of us. We believe in the taqdeer, the fate, everything good and bad is from Allah. And also there's a life hereafter. So these are the basic beliefs I've just put forward in front of you. Inshallah. And I said Allah Ta'ala has, this is a belief that we should have, the first step as a Muslim that we should all have. Inshallah, in more details we will inshallah sit down later and go through all of them. And then there's a few commands Allah Ta'ala has given to us. And the basic first one is the salah, the daily prayers, the 5 daily prayers. That's a daily command and obligatory, compulsory act for every Muslim, mature Muslim. Everyone has to do. Like I said at the beginning, you will be learning. You will not understand whatever you can do at the beginning. It's all new, something. It's a new life. So everything's going to be new. When the Prophet Muhammad was sent to the Sahaba, they were in their old ways that they had. It was very hard. The Salah was very easy for them. They would talk in Salah. They would look around in Salah. So it was not, straight away you don't need to get scared that I'm going to have to read all my Salah the way I have to read. If you can't do whatever you can do, we are learning. But inshallah, once you get into the learning and the way how to do it, and then everything inshallah will just follow and become easy for you. Is that okay? So I will just say a few words in the Arabic, and obviously I will say the translation, and then inshallah we will complete the shahada. So say ashhadu, just repeat after me. Ashhadu alla ilaha illallah illa Allah wa ashhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. MashaAllah, very good. So what you just said there in Arabic is I testify. I testify that there is no God but Allah, Allah, and Muhammad, peace be upon him, is the messenger and the slave of Allah, and the slave of Allah. Subhanallah. Takbir. 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 MashaAllah. MashaAllah, you're starting this new life of, inshallah, following the commands of Allah Ta'ala and all these things. it says in a hadith, the one final hadith I will finish out, the Prophet Muhammad, when people would come to him and embrace and come into the fold of Islam, and the Prophet, the people would say that, oh, the Prophet of Allah, I have done such and such acts in my life. I have sinned and I have done wrong. And all those things, they would say to the Prophet, what happens to them? So the Prophet also said, إِنَّ الْإِسْلَامَ يَهْدِمُ مَا كَانَ قَبْلَهُ. That Islam, when you come into Islam, it wipes out everything, every single sin that you have committed entire life. So at this moment in time, like a newborn baby, he comes into the world free from sins. So in that way, you're actually better than all of us, because we have all made mistakes and committed sins. So you are better than all of us at this moment in time. You are very, very lucky. Sometimes a lot of people, you are very, very, very lucky that it's like you have committed no sin in your life. So you have a new life, new chapter. May Allah Ta'ala accept. Inshallah, we'll pray, make dua for a bit. And then inshallah, because we have our programs, we'll make dua and pray to Allah Ta'ala for a little while, inshallah. And then بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على رسوله الأمين أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد وبارك وسلم ظلمنا أنفسنا وإن لم تغفر لنا وترحمنا لنكونن من الخاسرين لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. Allah forgive all of our sins. Allah accept Thomas and his deeds, whatever good he does. Allah accept him in your path. Allah, he has embraced Islam, he has accepted Islam. Make everything easy for him. Allah, make the path of Islam and the path that he has and the guidance that you have given him. Allah, make it easy for him to follow the commands of Islam. Allah, make it easy for him every aspect of his life, in his personal life, and all the things, all the hardships. Allah, remove all the hardships and make everything easy for him. Allah, accept all of us for your deen, accept and be pleased with all of us, whatever good we are doing. Ya Allah, accept us. Ya Allah, whatever bad we have done and we are doing, Ya Allah, forgive all of us. Ya Allah, forgive all of us and accept all of our du'as. ربنا تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون وسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين آمين برحمتك يا رحمن. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم أما بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أم حسبت أن أصحاب الكهف والرقيم كانوا من آياتنا عجبا صدق الله العظيم. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم عن معاذ بن جبل رضي الله تعالى عنه قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فتح عمران بيت المقدس خراب يثرب وخراب يثرب خروج الملحمة وخروج الملحمة فتح القسطنطينية وفتح القسطنطينية خروج الدجال أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. So to brothers and elders, today's topic, as you all know, it's Dajjal. I have already spoken about Dajjal in the first part last month. So those who were present in that program and that bayan, they will find it easy to understand. But inshallah, briefly I will explain what we done because it's connected to what we are going to talk about today. Today, inshallah, we'll be looking at the description of Dajjal. We'll be looking at where is Dajjal, when will Dajjal come out, these are the questions we all sometimes, when you hear this word Dajjal, we think, who is Dajjal? What is his description? Where is he at this moment in time? When is he going to the emerge of Dajjal? When he will he come out? And the fitnas and the powers that Allah Ta'ala will give him. This is the topic that we are going to look at today, inshallah. Last time when we talked about Dajjal, I only mentioned the ahadith that mentioned Dajjal. So the last time, there was two main ahadith I concentrated on. One was this long, lengthy hadith about Dajjal as being Tamim Dari with his people. If you remember, I will inshallah briefly mention that so we can understand today and what about everything about Dajjal today, because it's connected to the previous bayan. So Dajjal, I mentioned Tamim Dari. First of all, you have to understand Dajjal is from the word Dajjal, Dal, Jim, Lam. Dajjal means to deceive. To deceive someone. When you deceive someone, you are doing Dajjal. You know, we have a saying, this person is like Dajjal. So what does that mean? Kadhab, he's a liar, because the biggest liar is a Dajjal. the biggest liar is the Dajjal. Because why is he the biggest liar? He's going to claim to be Rabb. He's going to say, I'm the Rabb. So he's the biggest liar. That's why Kadhab. Kadhab, the big liar, the big deceiver. Another word, another meaning for Dajjal is to conceal, to hide. So what Dajjal is, he will use his tricks, mulamma' sa'zikanna, to trick people. That's another definition and the translation of Dajjal. If you look it up and even in Google, you will get these translation, to conceal. So he hides the truth. He will hide the truth. Whatever's false, he will present in front of us. So that's what Dajjal means, Dajjal. And even another word, mulamma' sa'zi, to trick someone. So what he will do is, he will trick us into believing him, that he is the Rabb. Allah Ta'ala will give him such powers that he will trick everyone, a lot of people, in believing and following him. That's how much power Allah Ta'ala will give him, inshallah, when we talk about the powers of Dajjal. And then I mentioned that Dajjal, there's one Dajjal that we have, all of us have in our head. Okay, we have that Dajjal that he's somewhere in the island and he's locked up. That's the Dajjal that majority of us know. And I mentioned this, the hadith is a very long hadith. It's a hadith of Tamim Dari, him with his people, around 30 people. They got onto the ship and they were going onto water, and then the waves played around with them for a month. In the hadith, Tamim Dari says, the waves played around, meaning we had no control of the ship. And then until they came to an island. And then when they came to an island, they got off the ship and got into the small boats. And they went to the island and they met this Jassasa. Jassasa is a spy, beast. In one narration, it's a beast, Dabba, that's a word that is used. Another word is Imra, it's like women, that a female woman. Jassasa has hair covered from top to bottom, that we could not see the difference between the head and the neck and the body, because she was, or the Dabba, the beast was covered in hair. And then we were scared. Tamim Dari says, we were very scared. So we ran away and we asked him, who are you? He says, Ana Jassasa, I am Jassasa. And then he told, and that Jassasa, the beast, told us to go into this temple. We went to the temple and we saw this man. And this is a famous, this is a hadith that we all know and I mentioned. And they said his hands, he was huge. His hands were chained to his neck. His hand was chained to his neck, and we asked, who are you? He says that I'm going to ask you, who are you? Because I am the one who is in chains, you are in control. I'm going to ask, who are you? And then Tamim Dari explained his story, that this is what happened. We were led and we were told to come here. And then he started to ask a few questions. If you remember, he asked 4 questions. Number 1, what is the state of Buhairatul Tabriya, the Sea of Galilee, which is in Israel today? Does it have water? Tamim Dari says yes. And the Dajjal said that a time will come when my immersion, when I will come out, there will be no water left in the Sea of Galilee. Today, if you search up on Google, it's drying up and it's been the most driest since ever before. Number 2, Zughar. Ainu Zughar. Zughar is the fountain which is in Sham, Syria somewhere. He says, what about it? He says, does it give water? A time will come, it will stop giving water. And Nakhlatu Baysan. Baysan is a place in Jordan. And then the Dajjal asks, does it give out dates, palm trees? And then he says, yes, a time will come when it will stop giving out dates. When today Jordan, it does not give out dates as the way it used to. The palm dates will become scarce and they will have no dates left. So then he talked about the Prophet. He says, the final Prophet, has he arrived? Has he been kicked out by his people? This is Dajjal asking the questions to Tamim Dari. Tamim Dari accepted and said yes. And then Dajjal said this, that let me give you one advice, that follow that Prophet. Follow that Prophet, it's better for you. Because when my time will come, I will walk around the earth and I will have control over everything. I will walk for 40 days, where the first day will be like a year, the second day like a month, the third day, this is a full lengthy hadith, the third day will be like a week, and the rest of the 37 days will be like normal days. And then he says that I will travel everywhere except for 2 places, the Haramain, Makkah and Medina. Another narration he says 3 places, but 2 places he will not be able to go into. Tiba. And then in that hadith, this is why I want to talk about the hadith, he says that Prophet ﷺ says, إِنَّهُ فِي بَحْرِ الْأَلَا إِنَّهُ, this is the last part of the hadith, أَلَا إِنَّهُ فِي بَحْرِ الْيَمَنِ أَوْ فِي بَحْرِ الشَّامِ لَا بَلْ huwa min qibal al-mashriq. From this is the hadith where the people, the scholars, they have an idea, or they come out with this thing, that where is this Dajjal, where is this island? Now some have said, some have just said that only Allah knows best. The island, no one knows, because until then, now, no one has met this beast, no one has seen. But we haven't even, people, the scientists, we can be so advanced, but we can't reach some part of the world, we can't reach some places. Some have said it's the Bermuda Triangle, others have said somewhere near Japan in that sea, where, in the hadith it says it's connected to shaitan, he has his throne in water. So what Dajjal does, he keeps connected to the outside world with these shayateen, and the shayateen will do every work for them. Which when we come to the powers of Dajjal, and how we are today are actually affected by the fitna of Dajjal. So he has his shayateen, and the shayateen are in the water, the Iblis' throne is in water. That is why the fitnas you see on the beach, because that's the first place that the shayateen attack. That's why most of the fitnas are around the beach. So there's a connection. Now where is the island? Many of the kitabs and the books you will not find anywhere that specifically is mentioned. Fi Bahr al-Yaman means in the Sea of Yemen. Where is Yemen? The south of Saudi Arabia. Somewhere around there. Bahr al-Sham, the Mediterranean Sea. Now you look for an island there, you won't find an island there. Then he says, Min qibal al-mashriq. La, but he says, no, it's not in the Bahr al-Yaman. First he said, that's why it's more confusing. Prophet said, it's in the Bahr al-Sham. It's in the Mediterranean Sea. Then he says, Fi Bahr al-Yaman. In the Yemen, Sea of Yemen. Near Yemen. And they said, no, in fact, it's in Min qibal al-mashriq. It's towards the east. Now, towards the east, where is that? Wallahu a'lam. That is the first thing. No one knows where that is. Because Prophet ﷺ, now this kitab, in the kitabs that I have, I've read, and in that kitab it says, the Urdu kitab, Dajjal kab kaun kaha. Dajjal kab, when is it? Kaun, who is it? Who is he? And kaha, where is he? In that book, he has mentioned these places, but again, we say, Wallahu a'lam, we leave it to Allah. No one knows where Dajjal is. Now, the other mention I said, there's this, in the time of Prophet ﷺ, last time I mentioned it, there was a young Jew boy, a boy was born in the Jewish family, and his name was Ibn Sayyad, Ibn Sa'id, or Saf. These are the words and the names that come in the hadith. Ibn Sayyad, Ibn Sa'id, or Saf. Prophet ﷺ said, the Dajjal will be born, he will have no parents, and he will have these descriptions. And the child, Prophet ﷺ went, and they found out a child was born into a Jewish family. They went to search for this child, the Jewish boy. And then Prophet ﷺ with the Sahaba, they went to this boy and they asked him, that do you believe and testify that I am the Prophet? So he said, do you believe that I am the Rasul of Allah? I have been sent. He said, the people send me messages, jinnats come and tell me. The Prophet ﷺ asked him, that do you know what I am hiding in my heart? And he says, Dukhan, the smoke. And the Prophet ﷺ at that time was actually reciting the verses of Surah Dukhan. So then the Mufassirin, some Shurrah have said that this is Dajjal, he is Dajjal. This is Dajjal, and they make qasam. Hazrat Umar radiallahu ta'ala, Abdullah ibn Umar, and many of the other Sahabi have taken, he said, I can take 10 qasams that Ibn Sayyad is Dajjal. That is when the Muhaddithin, they were more confused that, who is Dajjal now? You see, Imam Bukhari has not mentioned, if you know the Imam Bukhari has not mentioned the Dajjal of Tamim Dari, the lengthy hadith where Tamim Dari. So according to Imam Bukhari, he has mentioned the hadith of Ibn Sayyad. Scholars say that according to him, the hadith of Ibn Sayyad are the correct one, and he rejects and does not accept the Tamim Dari. Now, because we have all of these ahadith, now what do we do? So inshallah, in there we will have an understanding. Once we understand the full picture of Dajjal and everything about Dajjal, we will go back to them. This is just going over part 1 briefly. Now, moving on today, when this Dajjal comes out, okay, when this Dajjal comes out, whenever, you see, one thing we have to understand, it's not one thing we have to get out of our heads, is Dajjal is not a beast. He's not going to be a monster. The monster that we see, or we picture him with one eye in the middle. They have a picture of sometimes one eye in the middle, it looks like a monster, a beast, or some devil or something like that. Whatever picture we have to take that picture out of our head. He is not a beast, he is going to be a normal human being. His name is not Dajjal. His name, Dajjal, you call him Dajjal, his name can be anything. We call him Dajjal because of the stuff that, the stuff I said, the meaning of Dajjal, he will have in him. He will do the tricks and he will do all those things of Dajjal and Dajjal. He will do all of these things. That's why we say Dajjal. So we have to take this picture of Dajjal being a beast or a monster out of our heads. Because then we will just be waiting for Dajjal. Then he said, we don't need to fear Dajjal. When the hadith says you have to read Surah Kahf, we all know the hadith, to protect yourself from Dajjal. He said, we don't need to read it now, Dajjal's not even out. So that's why one thing we have to understand is take this hadith, take this picture of Dajjal, what we have, out of our head. What has the Prophet ﷺ said in the hadith about Dajjal? He says, it's like a normal, Rajulun Shabun, he's young. Rajulun Shabun, Rajulun Jasimun, Ahmar, Jasim, he's fat. Jisam wala bahut jisam, he's fat. And he says, Rajulun Qasirun, and a short, fat man. He says, Ahmar, Ahmar is reddish, red and white. His skin color be red. Ahmar, reddish white, not completely white, but red, mild with reddish, reddy white skin color. Ahmar. He said, Rajulun Qatat. Qatat is broad shoulder. He's going to be a big hench, how we have big, that's what, Rajulun Qatatun, short, fat, broad shoulders, and he will have kaf, وَبَيْنَ عَيْنَيْهِ كَافَارًا, and between the two eyes it will be kafara, يَقْرَأُ كُلُّ كَاتِبٍ أَوْ غَيْرُ كَاتِبٍ, every believer, يَقْرَأُ كُلُّ مُؤْمِنٍ كَاتِبٍ أَوْ غَيْرُ, every believer, it doesn't say everyone. It says every believer will recite and will be able to, whether he is illiterate or literate, Katiba, whether he can read or write, he will be able to see that kafara, this is kufr. He will be short. He says that he will have his ja'dul ras. His hair will be curly, like snakes coiled up upon each other. That's a hadith. It says coiled up snakes. His hair will be curly and he will be short. He will be short that when he walks afhaj. The word afhaj means he's walking. It won't be a normal walk. He will just walk with the thighs very far apart. That's a translation of afhaj. A person, unusual walk. So these are the description that you will find about Dajjal in the hadith. Now you think, this is just a normal person, normal man, so why do we think of him? That's why I said, we cannot think of Dajjal as a beast. He's just going to be a normal person that's going to rule and have the control over everything. That's what we have to understand. That his eyes, Allah Ta'ala describes his eyes, his both eyes will have a defect. Now there's, in one, Rajulul A'war, A'warul Yumna, in another A'warul Yusra. So both eyes will have a defect. It says the right eye will be the one where he'll be seeing, left eye he'll be blind. A'war, Matmusul Ayn. Matmusul Ayn means there will be a defect. And كأنها زجاجة خضراء. Hadith says كأن, as though it resembles the eye resembles green glass. If you've seen a $1 sign, if you have a $1 sign and there's a pyramid, and on top of the pyramid there's that one eye, it's in the green colored eye, it's green. So if you look at that eye and you look at the hadith, it exactly Allah Ta'ala, Prophet has described, is as though it's described the eye, green pearl. كأنها زجاجة خضراء كأنها كوكب دري, in another hadith. This eye, it's kawkab, a pearl, durriyun, a shining pearl. The eye will look like a pearl. If you look at the eye, it looks like a shining pearl. It says, في عينه ظفرة غليظة, and on the eye, there will be the skin. The skin will be on top of the eye. Dhafra, the eyelid, will be not completely open. So the left eye is a defect. He can't see. The right eye, aynun. So this is the left eye. The other eye will be aynun. His eyes will be like inabatun tafiyah. This is a description of the other eye. It's like our grape, a swollen grape. That's where he cannot see a swollen grape. Laysa binati'atin wala jahra. Not excessively, floated. So his both eyes will be defect. One, he will be matmusul ayn, he will not be able to see at all. and the other, so he will be one-eyed, that's what we call one-eyed Dajjal. One eye, he will still be able to see, but will have a defect. So both eyes will have defect. This is the description that the Prophet ﷺ has given about Dajjal. So it's not that one eye in the middle, sometimes we see in these pictures that one eye. He will not have one eye in the middle, that only one eye. That's why we think of him to be a monster or a beast. He will have two eyes. Both will have defect. One of them he won't be able to see, but it will be like عِنَبَةٌ طَافِيَةٌ, a swollen, protruding grape. That's what the hadith says. So he will have two eyes. One will be defect and the other he will not be able to see. So that's the description of Dajjal. So now we understand Dajjal is going to be a man. Now the question is, when is he going to come out? We mentioned, where is he? Wallahu a'lam. People have given their description. Wallahu alam. When is he going to come out? Now in this, there's this hadith that I mentioned in the khutbah. Kharabu Yathrib, Umranu Bayt al-Maqdis, Kharabu Yathrib. There's this in Abu Dawood, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he's mentioned like a brief timeline from the beginning to the end. Umranu Bayt al-Maqdis, when the Bayt al-Maqdis, the flourishing of Bayt al-Maqdis, Palestine today, when it's flourishing, it's gaining power. That will result in Kharabu Yathrib. Yathrib, Medina, will have no power in the political world. In the world, Yathrib name will go down, and the Israel, Palestine, the Bayt al-Maqdis will be flourishing, and in the world it will gain power. This is the event. That will lead to Khurujul Malhama. It will event, because of Kharabu Yathrib, the Malhama, wars. Malhama means wars. A final war, the Malhamatul Udhma, the Armageddon, they say the final great war, the wars will take place. And then after the wars, after this will result, Khurujul Malhama, Fathul Qustuntuniyya. This will result in the conquering of Qustuntuniyya, Constantinople, which is Istanbul, Turkey today. That's what the hadith says. So the Umranu Bayt al-Maqdis, Bayt al-Maqdis is flourishing, Yathrib is going down, which will result in wars. War will result in taking over Fathul of Constantinople, Istanbul, and then Fathul Qustuntuniyya, Khurujud Dajjal. That when this event takes place, when the Constantinople is conquered, this will result in Khurujud Dajjal. So now this timeline, because this hadith, there's two ways of taking it. Now the ulama, the scholars, they talk that, has this event already happened? Because at the time of yesterday in Jamia Masjid, Shaykh Zahid done a bayan on Muhammad al-Fatih, the conquest of Constantinople. That was the topic. So those who were there in the bayan and those who know, in 1453, when first, so we have to take this hadith. This hadith is either that this event has already happened. If it has already happened, that means that the Dajjal is already out. The second way of taking it, that it will still happen. This has not happened yet. That means there is still, Dajjal is to come out. Because this hadith, you can take it both ways. Because remember, it says Fathul Qustuntuniyya, the Constantinople, once it's conquered, then Dajjal will come out. So then, but that's already taken place in 1453. Muhammad al-Fatih conquered Constantinople. But then, does Dajjal come out? Has Khurujud Dajjal happened? Because straight after Fathul Qustuntuniyya in a hadith, it says that should result in Khurujud Dajjal. But has that taken place yet? Now, some scholars are of the opinion that has already happened. This event has already taken place, that when all the Medina, when that was the main, in Islamic world, that was the markaz, the main place for all the commands used to take place in Medina. Then everything got moved to the Middle East, the Sham, Syria, and then it started to flourish. And then there were wars between the Muslims, the Crusaders, and all those wars that led to Fathul Qustuntuniyya. They conquered Islam, when they conquered Istanbul, and then Dajjal is already out, according to, I would say how is out, according to some scholars. According to some scholars in kitabs, according to them, there's a kitab I mentioned last time, will the Constantinople, will it go back into the hands of away from the Muslims. There's a kitab to the Christians or the other people where this event, will it happen again? There's a book by Maulana Rizwan Qazi, and he's written in there that according to him and some scholars say it's already taken place. Now I will mention that why has Khuruj al-Dajjal not happened? I will come back to that. Now he says Khuruj al-Dajjal, when he means Dajjal will come out, there's two interpretations that Maulana takes. That Dajjal, when it means Khuruj al-Dajjal, he has not come out in his physical form and shape, but his fitnas are out. His fitna started after 15th century, 16th, 17th, 18th, 19th, all these last 500 years. The Dajjali fitna, the things that Dajjal will do. See, when Dajjal comes out, he will come out in his physical form. And obviously people will be fooled that he won't say, I'm Dajjal. He will have all these powers. People will follow him. People will be blind and follow him. And when they follow him, he will give everything to what we want. So when this Dajjal comes out, he can't just come out and start to have all this control. So a stage, a kind of stage needs to be set for Dajjal. When Dajjal comes out, when he wants people to believe him, a stage needs to be set for him. Now, when there's a big event, we make loads of preparation, the stage is set. Now when everyone in their minds have understood, and then Dajjal comes out, it will be very easy for him to do those things that have been mentioned in the hadith. He can't just come out and start to rule everything and take over everything and the way the Prophet ﷺ has mentioned. So the stage needs to be set. So according to Maulana Rizwan Qazi, and according to that kitab, he says, this has already happened, Dajjal is already out. He's doing his fitnas and he is setting up his stage to come out and rule. And that's why he connects all things that are happening today to the powers of Dajjal. Inshallah, when we go to powers of Dajjal, we will look into that as well. He connects all the things. So that's why, according to some scholars, Dajjal's fitnas are out. Not Dajjal. Dajjal will come in his physical form and when he comes out, but his fitnas are out. He takes Khuruj al-Dajjal, meaning that Dajjali fitnas are out, and then when he comes in, he will be ready. Other scholars have said, no, this is the time that we are going through, where the flourishing of Bayt al-Maqdis, the Medina is going down, there's wars that will take place, the Constantinople will go away from the Muslims, and then the Muslims will conquer Constantinople, Istanbul again, and that's when Dajjal will come out, which is the normal people interpreted, and the scholars have said that. So when will he come out? Like I said, there is actually a difference of opinion between the ulama. Some have said he's already out, some have said, now when he does come out, we're going into the next part, this is when he will come out. When he comes, because I want to mainly talk about the fitna of Dajjal. So when he does come, he says that on the time when he comes, there will be 3 years before he's emerged. 3 years. First year, the sky will stop giving rain. 1/3 of water it will stop. When Dajjal comes, 1/3 of water it will remain, it will stop, and 1/3 of crops will stop to grow. The second year, 2/3 of water, the sky will hold 2/3 of its water, and 2/3 of crops will stop growing. And obviously, hence the problem will be animals, food, people, animals will die, and the people will be dying because there's no water, the sky, meaning all, national, international, all around the world, this will be a problem. Third year, then it says that, and then another 1/3, I mean 3/3, or another 1/3 and a 3/3. 1/3, and then 1/3 again, 1/4. So 1/3, one-third as in all of the rain. 1/3 first year, second 2/3, third year completely there will be no rain and no crops. So even the second year, the animals that will remain, the people, they will all die before the coming of Dajjal. And according to that, when they are, they have conquered Constantinople, they will be distributing the booty and the stuff. A sound will be heard that Dajjal is out, and people will run and they will go to fight him. Before Dajjal, Imam Mahdi will come out. So Dajjal will come out, and Dajjal, like I said, he will go around the world. He will travel like wind. He will have his transport. In a hadith, you have to remember the ahadith that the Prophet ﷺ mentioned. He mentioned to the Sahaba where the transport, what was their transport? donkeys, horse, and then camels. And now to tell them that there's going to be a plane, he's going to be traveling, the Sahaba would not have understood. He says he will have a transport like a donkey, and between the two ears will be this very wide length. With the donkey today, as in the plane, he will travel. And when he will travel in the plane, he will travel around the world. And he will go and enter in his control every city, every village. And he will have all the powers. He will go past a group of people and he will tell them to obey him. He will say, I am your Rabb. And they will say, they will obey. They will listen to him and follow him. And then he will tell that he will have the control over the sky. And he will say, فَيَأْمُرُ السَّمَاءَ أَن تُمْطَرْ فَتُمْطَرْ. He will tell the skies to give rain, and sky will be under his control. He will tell the sky to give rain, and the sky will give out rain. How much and until when? He said how much he wants, up to him. He will have the control. He will tell the earth, فَيَأْمُرُ الْأَرْضَ أَن تُنْبَتْ فَتُنْبَتْ. He will give commands and give hukam to the earth to give out crops. The earth will give out crops according to and under his command. Allah will give him all of these, control over all of these things. Allah will give him that power. Allah will give him that power. But you have to connect his power according to today's power. When we control, that means he will have the control of the sky. This is in a hadith. That the clouds will be beneath his neck. The oceans will come up to the knees. Dajjal's power means the oceans will come up to the knees. The cloud will be beneath his neck. Now, if you try to understand that, literally, how can you have the clouds beneath your neck, the oceans up to the knees? The interpretation that is taken, that he will have control over the sky. He will go up to the sky, only up to the neck, meaning he won't be completely have the control over all the sky, just that control over the sky. What flies in the air, everything will be under his control. He will have control, his oceans will be under until his knees. Meaning he will have control over the oceans, but not full control. He will have control over the ocean. He will have control over the earth. He will wish whatever he wants to grow. He will say to the earth, "Ukhruji kunuzak." Take out your treasures. And then he says that the treasures will come out. In the hadith, he says it will puke out, like vomit treasure. That's the hadith. And it's so much treasure will come out the earth, and he will give pleasure, rich. He will make people rich who follow him. Those who disobey him, he says he will go past another group of believers. He will tell them, follow me, obey me, I am your Rabb. They will reject, and they will not believe him. He will take everything away from them. They will have nothing, their properties, their wealth, and he will give hardship and give famine, no food, nothing to drink, and the hardship he will make the believers go through. Because the believers, they will know that he is Dajjal. So they will go through that comfort and hardship for a short time. He says that he will go around the world causing fitna and fasad. Everyone that obeys him, everyone that listens to him, he will give them the pleasures. Anyone that rejects him, he will put them into hardship. He will go everywhere except for Medina. He says in the Medina, he will come to Medina. He says in a hadith that it's a long hadith, it's in Muslim, he says he'll stand, he will sit outside Medina where he could see a palace. It says in a hadith as well, it's a white palace where he will sit and look at Medina. He will be able to see the Medina, but he will not be able to enter. There will be 7 gates at that time. Today, if you look up Medina, there are 7. Now you have Blackburn, you have different ways to get into Blackburn. There are 7 ways to get into Medina. That time you couldn't say roads or motorways. You have to say 7 gates. In old days, there are cities with gates. Today you go Palestine, Masjid, the old city. There are all the gates. They still have the old wall called the old city, and they have wall, and they have these 7 gates. So at that time, Medina will have 7 gates, and on each gate there will be 2 angels. There will be 2 angels protecting Medina. Dajjal says that he will wait, and then a pious man will come. People have said this is Hazrat Khidr alayhi salam. People have said some person will just come, and he will tell him to say that you are Dajjal, and says, what if I prove to you that I am Rabb? I can kill you. So he will He says in a hadith that he will put an axe on his head, and he will make him in two pieces, and he will walk in between to show his power. And then Allah will give him the power to make him come to life again and give him life. He says, do you believe me that I am the Rabb now? He says, now I have full conviction, full faith that you are Dajjal. Because this person, he was a complete true believer. So the believers will reject him, but you will go through hardships. Allah, and the Prophet ﷺ said that he will have control over everything. He will have control over food. Food, meaning he says that mountains of bread will follow him. Mountains of bread, meaning food. Rivers will be under his control. Water will be under his control. The treasures will be following him, like it says the bees, they follow the queen. Beehives come out of the bees. That's how the treasures will follow him. He will have everything. Those who follow and take him to be a Rabb, he will give you the pleasure. He says, وَمَعَهُ نَارٌ وَمَعَهُ وَنَارٌ وَجَنَّةٌ. He will have fire, he will have Jannat. Jannat is he will have a garden or a Jannat. Water, ma'un. This is a Jannat. وَمَعَهُ نَارٌ وَمَعَهُ جَنَّةٌ. In a hadith, it is Jannat, meaning garden, beautiful, and fire. وَمَعَهُ نَارٌ وَمَاءٌ, and water. It says, مَاءُهُ جَنَّةٌ وَجَنَّتُهُ نَارٌ. His water is nar, fire, and his Jannat, his nar, his fire, is Jannat, and his Jannat, what he so shows, the water, is actually fire. So when you see him, the Prophet said, fall into his nar and his fire. Now, like I said, this again, you can take literal meaning that he will literally have a fire, he will literally have the water, and people will be going into, obviously, the water, but they're actually, in fact, falling into nar. But you can take this, how are we connected, or how is it affecting us? See, Dajjal, when he comes out, all these power that I have mentioned, he will have nar. People have interpreted to be hardships. People have interpreted the water as pleasure. He will give you all the pleasure. Jannat, nice water. He'll give you pleasure. He'll give you everything that you need. Today we are, the pleasures that we are going, and we are following our desires. So the desires are his water. Those that fall into their desires are actually falling into the Jahannam, into the fire. So we are actually, so like I said, the Dajjal, if you remember the Dajjal, the interpretation that he's out, his fitnas are already out today. We don't wait for the Dajjal to come. His fitnas are, no doubt, they are out, and we are witnessing today. Today he says that they has a control over the sky. The control of the sky is possible. People, sky, controlling the weather is possible. When there's an event, a very big event, like in Olympics, they sent these machines that they have. There's so much radiations to move the clouds, and they control the sky, but not fully control. So the control of the sky is already possible. Control over the earth, things that used to grow in years, they grow in months and weeks. So the control of vegetation and growing crops, it's already in control. But the Dajjal will have full control. Maybe this technology that we have today, it's going to be so advanced that in seconds they probably can, once upon a time we couldn't imagine these things 50, 60 years ago. But now it's so possible that how fast the world is going. In 50, 60 years, when the real Dajjal, they might grow things in seconds. And he will say, look, I can grow things, and he will use maybe technology, and he will use whatever, and people will follow him. He will control the sky. Today they have minimum, maybe control of the sky, but when they have in the Dajjal, he will have fully control of the sky. And people will believe him to be a Rabb, because people's iman will be very weak, and they will follow him. So they are already, see a stage, the Dajjal, we are already in that fitna. We have nar, there's a fire, hardships, and then there's this pleasures. We follow our pleasures and desires. We do what our desires want, going into drugs, women, pornography, and all these desires. We are following that. We are actually falling into the water. We are falling into the Dajjal's water, which is actually taking us into the Jahannam, the nar. We are actually in the fitna of Dajjal today. He says that he will have sound, his voice will be, he will make one sound, that it will be heard in the east and the west. So at that time the Sahaba, obviously, Think how, that time they had no technology, but today, do we not see that if you was to make one sound today, if we are sitting here and we make this broadcast live around the world, sitting one place, you can send your sound to the east and to the west. So Dajjal, the media today, one thing, you can send it around the world into the villages. So already, that is, we can see that Dajjal, so the Prophet ﷺ had to mention these things in these kind of way, that the people that time understood, and today we can understand it even better. We should have no doubt in these hadith that one sound that Dajjal will make, it will reach the east and the west. And today when we have all these technology, it will reach east and the west. It says that he will use his weapon, the music, his weapon will be women. He will try to get the young and all of us into the fitna of music, into women, into pleasure. And that's what he will offer to all of us. That's what he will offer. And because of our weakness, when we follow, this is when we are following the path of Dajjal. We are in the fitna and the world of Dajjal. Dajjal. It's all deceiving. It all looks good, pleasure. From outside, for short pleasure, we are making our akhirat and we are destroying our hereafter. For a short time pleasure, we are losing out and we are forgetting the hereafter. Because this is what Dajjal is doing to all of us. It says that, fornication, zina will be normal. Waladu zina, people born without fathers and mothers, and zina, children from zina will increase. Interest will be normal. It says in a hadith, that hadith when Dajjal comes, from every 12 people, 10% will be doing interest. Every 12, that's the ratio, that 80% people will be, Muslims, will be in this interest and taking or dealing with interest. 80%. In the hadith says before Qiyamah, every believer, every person shall get even not the interest, maybe the smoke of har insan ko sood ka dhuan lagega, will get the interest, the smoke. Meaning all of us today, you understand the bank system, the systems that we have, we are kind of into that, but there's so much we can do, we protect ourselves. But then it says that 80% people will be doing interest. So going into interest, we sometimes take out these finances, mortgages, without us tahqiq, asking the ulama. We have to ask our ulama if it's interest we want to try to avoid. This is interest, it's haram. If it's not jaiz and if we're not asking the ulama what is the correct way going around, then we are going in and falling into the trap of Dajjal. We are falling into the trap of Dajjal. It says in a hadith, he will control the minds. He will control the mind and the soul. Dajjal will control the mind and the soul. Now that's a part of the hadith. That's what it just says that. See, in the hadith it just says that. But today, through the phones, the social media, we are on the phones. The phone, it kind of controls us without us realizing. We are in this fitna of Dajjal without us even realizing. It controls a person. We wake up in the morning, the first thing we want to see if we've missed any messages. At night time, the last thing we'll do is we'll go beyond WhatsApp or social media, Facebook, Instagram, and we want to see and follow people on Facebook. It's already controlling us. It's already controlling us so much that we can't do without it. We can't do without a phone for one day. Our minds and souls are already being controlled. And then the fitna that you get, no doubt there's many benefits. I have a phone myself, we all have phones. There's many benefits, but if you don't have control, Mufti Taqi recently, is an audio that went round, and what did he say? He said the people that are in the masjid and they are looking at things that are haram. It's so, they might be in the masjid reading namaz, but when I'm alone, I'm in my room, what I'm doing on my phone, only I know and Allah knows. The filth that you can get on the phone today, 4G internet, 5G is coming, 4G, this phone, that phone, the advanced. Everyone's got the big phones and you're watching everything. People don't know. And that's what the filth is controlling us. And then we get so addicted, we can't come off it. We can't come out. It says it's najaiz for that person. If you can't control yourself, then it's najaiz for the person. There's something that's going to lead you to haram. You shouldn't go into it. Don't even, it says, al-halalu bayin wal-haramu bayin. The halal and haram, between is mushtabiyat. When you are stuck in doubt, you should leave that doubtful thing. If you think you can't control yourself and you're going to go and watch the filth, then we should leave it, because this is actually taking control of our minds and our soul without us realizing. So the Dajjali fitna, all those fitnas I have mentioned, this is the main thing I wanted to concentrate, the fitnas of Dajjal. We are in the fitna, or fitnas are around us without us realizing that these are the fitna of Dajjal. Whether Dajjal is going to come out or whether, you understand, but the Mawlana Qazi, the first opinion I give, that when he will come out, that he is already out, meaning his fitnas are already out. He says that this, when the Constantinople was conquered, since then, these fitnas have emerged. Every century, there's things that are happening, and the world is just getting advanced year by year, and after 100 years, and it's going so fast that the Dajjali fitna is around us. We are not realizing it has all of this. It controls the food, control of the food is growing faster, control of the sky. There's, you search on YouTube, HARP machine that they have, and they send radiations up, and they can control the weather. Now, when I talk to people, they say they make movies like that now, that they're controlling the weather, that they control the weather, and they show that they have the control of the weather. And when you control the weather, this is Dajjal. When he has a control, when he comes, he will have full control. So when he says, follow me, or else I will put you into hardship, then he will stop the rain. All he needs to do is stop the rain, because he'll have the control. And when he controls everything, the treasures, world, everything is going to be in his control. Today he has, the Dajjali fitna is a big control that he has. So we have to protect ourselves from these fitnas. All these fitnas today we see, respected brothers and elders, they are all setting up a stage for the Dajjal to come. How many of us are in these fitnas? If you look at ourselves, all these fitnas, are they not happening? What the Prophet ﷺ, the way he said it, like I said, we can interpret those meanings, the pleasures, and we can actually say, we're actually in the fitna of Dajjal. Yes, Dajjal will come out when he does come out. But he will just say that he will have maybe now 20-30% control, but when Dajjal comes out, and this is when we go back to Tamim Dari and Ibn Siyad. Tamim Dari's Dajjal is the one who is tied up somewhere in the island, but he has this jassasa through his shayateen. He is working with these shayateens to cause the fitna. And that's when every era there's some person, Ibn Siyad in the time of Prophet, I mentioned last time, Samari was used. So he uses people, Dajjal, his men, to cause these fitna. Like Ibn Siyad maybe was used in a hadith. Ibn Siyad was asked that if this, in a hadith, he says that if this job, it's like a job, if it was to be offered to you, meaning to take the role of Dajjal, would you accept? In a hadith, this is in Mishkat, and he says that Ibn Siyad says, yes, I would have accepted. So from this hadith, it means that Dajjal, the one that is tied up, it's using, or it has its shayateen through Jassasa and that beast that was in the island. He's using this, controlling people and using people to cause fitna. And then because Dajjal knows, why did he know that? He said, is the Prophet ﷺ out yet? Has he been taken away and kicked out from Medina? Has he been taken away from Medina? Has people rejected him or followed him? These questions. So all these questions, when you understand and you look at the tafsir, then you think, why would Dajjal ask all these questions? He knows what's going on. He says, has this happened? The Sea of Galilee, has this happened in Jordan and the Zughar and the Ainu Zughar and the Baysan, the place over the palm days? All these things, he knows that these are the time, my time to come out in my physical form. Do you understand? We have to understand Dajjal as a normal person. When he comes out, when he does come out, he will come out and have full control. Prophet ﷺ then he gave advice that Inna Rabb, your Rabb is not a'war, he's not blind, one eye. And when Dajjal comes out, now finishing off, Prophet ﷺ said, protect yourself by reading the surah, read Fawatih Surat Al-Kahf, the first few verses of Surat Al-Kahf. I mentioned this last time as well. And Dajjal, like I said, don't think that, Dajjal's not going to come out, why do we need to read Surah Al-Kahf? Everyone from this Friday, inshallah, make intention that we will read Surah Kahf. If it's very long, then the first few verses, it says the 10 verses in a hadith. The 10 verses of the hadith, it says the 10th verse is that those 7 people, إِذْ أَوَى الْفِتْيَةُ إِلَى الْكَهْفِ, when they wanted to protect their iman from their Dajjal at that time. Some people ask, is Dajjal mentioned in the Quran? Is Dajjal mentioned in the Quran? Allah Ta'ala doesn't mention Dajjal, the word Dajjal, but He mentions or a similar incident that took place, like the place of Dajjal at the time of, between Isa alayhi salam, Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this Badshah, this king Daqyanus. He wanted everyone to worship him. And these 7 people, they ran away into the cave to protect their iman. To protect their iman, they ran away. So to protect our iman, the Prophet ﷺ said that when the Dajjal fitna or the Dajjal comes out, don't go near him. And the hadith says, don't go near him because he will put doubts inside your heart. Even a believer will have doubts. When you're in the fitna, we will have doubts. We have to run away from him. And run away, these 7 people ran away into the cave. Today's cave, masjid is your cave. Going to the masjid, staying in the majlis of sulaha and the pious people is your cave today. Today's cave can be a khanka in the zikr majlises. This is your cave today. We need to protect ourselves from the fitna. The more we are away from the fitna, the less we are affected by the fitna. The more, says the best person at that time would be the person in the village. Person in the village and the mountain tops. Why? Because when a fitna comes, it comes into the cities. Fitnas, it happens in the cities. No one's going to be bothered what a person's doing in a village, in a jungle, somewhere. That person, no one's going to be bothered about him. Then that person is actually safe from the fitna, because the best person at that time, Prophet said, Man kana lahu ibili, falyalhaq bi ibili. If you have ibil, camels, you should take your camels and go into the villages and into the jungles. Go into the mountain tops where the rain comes down. That person will be saved from the fitna. In other words, today we can't really go into any village or away into a countryside or a jungle because we don't have the iman, we are very weak. So at least stay away from the places of fitna. We are putting ourselves into those places, we are asking for fitna to come to us. Stay in the masjid, come into the masjid. Regularly we continue reading salah, continue 5 times salah, we try to read in the masjid. Sit in the programs in the masjid, going to the gathering of the pious people. Wallahi, that's the best way today, is today's day and age, we can protect ourselves from fitna. Or else, all of us will be in the fitna, we won't even know. Dajjal will capture us into his fitna and we won't know. We won't even know that Dajjal has taken us into the fitna. A person will not even know that he's into the fitna. One will not know that I am doing this fitna because he doesn't know that the truth will be, the Dajjal will put a veil and he will conceal and hide the truth. So he will make, that Dajjal means, he will make the lie, make it look like and present it to you so nicely, and that lie we will follow because we will think is the truth. Finishing off that, like I said, that, like presenting a cake. If you present a cake, so on, you put a nice layer of, nice icing on it, and underneath you put all the rubbish, urine, excrete, everything, gandagi, napaki, najasat. All you do is you present it nicely. This is what Dajjal does. In those pleasures, in those fitnas, it's all haram, gambling, everything, pornography, women, all these fitnas, the phones, it's all nothing. From the top, it looks like fulfilling our desires and pleasures. The best way is to make this Surah Kahf our ma'amul every Friday, and our du'as in our fitna. What did they say? رَبَّنَا هَيِّئْ لَنَا مِنْ أَمْرِنَا رَشَدًا. Allah protect us from the fitna of Dajjal, and this dua that the 7 young people made. Allah Ta'ala loved them so much and mentioned in the Quran, Allah will love us like the way they made fikr about the iman. It's time that we make fikr about our iman. Time was there we say, salah, we need to worry about salah, worry about amal. Time has come where we need to actually worry about our iman. If our iman is weak, what's going to happen to my children tomorrow? Our generation to come, where are they going to go? Their fitna. We are having doubts and questions in Islam. We are doubting Islam. We are doubting our religion. We are asking questions. Why? Because we are in the fitna that we don't understand ourselves. The best way is to stay in the good company, into the masjid. The more often you come to the masjid, come to the gathering of the scholars and the bayans, inshallah Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will protect us from the fitna of Dajjal. And the last dua I mentioned last time as well, after namaz we make this practice, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min adhabi jahannam. Ya Allah, protect me from adhabi jahannam. Wa na'udhu bika wa a'udhu bika, for a person, wa a'udhu bika min adhabi al-qabr, from the qabr, punishment of there. Wa a'udhu bika min fitnatil mahya wal mamat, from the fitnas and the tests and the tribulations of living and dying. When you live in this fitna. And min fitnatil masihid dajjal, Allah wa a'udhu bika min fitnatil Masih Dajjal, protect me from the fitna of Masih Dajjal. That dua after every namaz, we start from tomorrow Fajr, inshallah. Every day we will read this dua, Allah will protect us. From that dua, Allah will protect us. All it takes is 5-10 seconds. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min adhabi jahannam, min adhabi al-qabr, wa a'udhu bika min fitnati al-mahya wal-mamat, wa na'udhu bika min fitnati al-masih Dajjal. And inshallah, every Fridays, we will try to read all of Surah Al-Kahf. If we can't read all of it, we will read the first 10 ayats at least. Have we make intention, inshallah. Allah protect all of us. Ameen wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. ربنا هب لنا من أزواجنا وذرياتنا قرة أعين واجعلنا للمتقين إماما. اللهم إنا نعوذ بك من عذاب جهنم ونعوذ بك من عذاب القبر ونعوذ بك من فتنة المحيا والممات ونعوذ بك من شر فتنة المسيح الدجال. या अल्लाह जहन्नम के अज़ाब से हमारी हिफाजत फरमा, या अल्लाह कब्र के अज़ाब से हमारी हिफाजत फरमा, या अल्लाह ज़िंदगी के फितने से हमारी हिफाजत फरमा, मरने के फितने से हमारी हिफाजत फरमा, दज्जाल के फितनों से हमारी हिफाजत फरमा, दज्जाल के फितनों से हम सब की हिफाजत फरमा, हमारे नौजवान की हिफाजत फरमा, हमारी आने वाली नस्लों की हिफाजत फरमा, हमारे ईमान की हिफाजत फरमा। या अल्लाह हमारे ईमान पर हमला हो रहा है, अल्लाह हम इस ज़माने से गुज़र रहे हैं जिससे हमारे ईमान पर हमला किया जा रहा है, हमारे ईमान पर हमला किया जा रहा है, हमारा ईमान कमज़ोर होता जा रहा है। या अल्लाह हमारे ईमान की हिफाजत फरमा, हमारे ईमान की हिफाजत फरमा, दज्जाल के फितने से हिफाजत फरमा। जो चीज़ हमें दज्जाल के फितने से करीब करे या अल्लाह उनसे हमें दूर फरमा। दज्जाल के फितने से हमें नफ़रत, हमारे दज्जाल के फितनों से हमारे दिलों में नफ़रत पैदा फरमा। या अल्लाह हम सब की हिफाजत फरमा, हमारे घर वालों की, हमारे वालिदैन की, भाई बहनों की, रिश्तेदारों की, हमारी औलाद की। या अल्लाह इस बड़े फितने से हम सब की हिफाजत फरमा। हमारी दुआओं को आप सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम की सदक़े तफ़ल कबूल फरमा। अल्लाहुम्मा इन्ना नसअलुका मिन खैरि मा सअलका मिन्हु नबियुका मुहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम व नऊज़ु बिका मिन शर्रि मा इस्तआज़aka मिन्हु नबियुका मुहम्मद सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम व अंतल मुस्तआन व अलैका बलाग व ला हौला व ला कुव्वता इल्ला बिल्लाहिल अलिय्यिल अज़ीम। सुब्हान रब्बिका रब्बिल इज़्ज़ति अम्मा यसिफून व सलामुन अलल मुरसलीन वल्हम्दुलिल्लाहि।